Hello, Parsons Collab Design for Literacy Students. This is Marcos, and this is the week 5 assignment briefing for our baby board books project. And we are going through the last stages of our project as we near our final files stage. So right now we're at part 4, and I'm recording this right before our class, where we're going to have our design finalization individual meetings. And over the next week, you're going to do the design completion phase, which will be to complete your design of your book, as well as prepare a presentation that we'll give in next class. We'll meet together in class, and we'll have a guest reviewer join us via Zoom to give feedback, which is great because we're going to get somebody who's worked with me on DERT and who has done many of these review sessions, and most importantly, has never seen any of your work or hasn't gone through the process together like we have, and get that sort of fresh perspective of how your concept is looking, how it's sounding, how it's working as a reading experience. So be prepared to have feedback. And the good news is we have our one more week of work to the design file. So if anything comes up that needs to be refined or added to, you'll have a little time for that. So that's the basic plan. We got basically 2 more weeks, but by end of next week, by this time next week, you should have a final version of your book ready for review, but still ready for refinements as needed. And if you're having trouble finishing because of some just production time, let's do the best we can to have a presentation that'll show your book and that will be finished by next week. So basically what we're going to do for this next week is you'll be getting feedback, or you already have gotten feedback from me, depending on when you're listening to this. And just, take in what I say to you, take in what my suggestions may or may not be, whatever it is I encourage you to do or to keep doing. I suspect that mostly I'll just be kind of like excited to see your work and give you like positive feedback to keep going. Maybe a few ideas here and there. There shouldn't be too many radical changes at this point. Mostly it's about really, I think the best thing for you to do is to begin to look at this as what will it be like as a reading experience between 2 people, a grown-up or a person who can read, and a young person experiencing the book through the hands of a grown-up, or even maybe an older kid playing with the book and looking at it, or even maybe reading it if they're a little older on their own. So whatever way you can kind of get yourself in the mindset to think in that way, to read it out loud to yourself, or even share it to people, your friends, fellow students, family members, whoever you have access to. Try to get feedback, see if there's any insights you might get from sharing it with others. But at the same time, keep your eye on the prize and don't just follow anybody's advice on what to do. Be grateful for the advice you get, but take in only what's important and respond to the things that you feel will improve the book. So in doing that, I want you to complete the design of all the pages. Make sure you've worked out the typography, the text, the way that your layouts are put together, that they're done in the best way possible, that you really push it, you really try as many things as you can to make sure that each spread is done well. Make sure you're being keen on how the book folds and where the gutter goes through your spread. And as you saw in the printed books, it's a pretty flat book when it's open. It just has kind of a line going through it, so you can probably get away with a lot, but still try to avoid having things getting cut off by the fold of the page, but they don't have to be. And mostly just really put your full eye onto this and your full heart into making sure that your book is created at the best way possible. And then, as I said before, share your layout to others, but most important, share your layout to me. That's what this second last bullet point is. I'd like to have everybody, maybe by Wednesday of next week, send me a preview of the book if possible, and give me a chance to maybe give some feedback before we're in class presenting it to me and our guest reviewer. And mostly I want to make sure you put together a full presentation for your class, which should be easy because we've been building this presentation since the beginning of the project. And now it'll just be a matter of you editing it and putting it together in a way that's effective to present your book. So let's go through what that's going to be. I've got a list here of the elements, mostly of what you should have. Maybe some things are optional. I'm going to show you after this list, I'm going to show you an example of a book presentation of this exact project at this exact phase from last year from a student. And basically you have these things already. You have your cover page, you have your overview of DERT, you have your summary of the assignment, and then you have your 3 case studies, your design inspiration, and your design concept statement. Now this is meant to set up your project, but with all these pages, I want you to practice how to kind of go through them in sort of the most efficient, quick way as possible, because there's 15 of us in one class session, and I want you to spend just 10 minutes presenting your book, and I don't want to get caught up in talking about every single thing. So try to find a way to kind of highlight the things that are important, that are relative or relevant to how your book came out, or what your book idea is, or what your book style is in terms of the way you did your artwork or your illustration. Obviously, everybody doesn't have to explain what DERT is or what the assignment is, but if you have a quick sentence or two to go through those pages, not enough rushed. I don't have to show this page kind of way, just in a like good professional way. Talk about DERT in a sentence, talk about the assignment in a sentence, highlight the books that are relevant. And if you want to take some of the books out that you did or even change them, but try to have 1 or 2 examples of what inspired you and set this up so that what you're doing here is you're trying to make a case for your design, and you're trying to present it to somebody who doesn't know what this is and who needs to get some context, but you need to build this idea. You want to engage them in a way where they're beginning to imagine what this book could be, and they're beginning to see these inspirations, and they're beginning to hear your concepts, and they're with you, they're enrolled in the idea, and that's the key to getting the idea across to somebody in a way that's going to inspire them to want to back it up. So the design inspiration pages, the design concept statement, most everyone made several concepts at this point. You can just keep that to 1. If you want to talk about the ideas that you considered, you can, but don't spend a lot of time doing that. You can just stick to this, the design concept statement for your actual concept, your storyboard page, and you might want to go back and work on this a little bit if you need, just to make it look as kind of as full of information as possible. Make it look like what you were thinking about really aligned to what the result was. An overview of your preliminary design work. If you want to show some of the work that you did before you got to the final stages, show a page or show a few pages if you want. Don't spend a lot of time on that, but sometimes that story is interesting to go from a thumbnail to like the development of how your illustrations began to come together, or your spreads or your type, and then to show the final book. Show each page, each cover, and then each spread on a full page, and then show the whole book together on one page, and then your thank you page. So this is what this will look like. Here's your cover page and your explanation about what DERT is and what the assignment is. We have 3 different book inspiration or case studies that are presented here. And then we have a design inspiration that shows kind of color style, illustration style. We have typography and color. And then we have the concept statement, just one that talks about specifically the book that the student decided to do, and make sure you're explaining this is your concept and what this is, and this is an important part. So make sure you talk about this in a good, thorough way. And then you go to your storyboard, and from there you can show kind of the history of how you develop that storyboard into a more finished piece, kind of creating the story of how you tried different typefaces or different colors or different illustration styles. And then you basically go through the book with them. And you may even want to read it out loud, or you may even want to ask the person to read it out loud, and she will happily do that to kind of get a sense of what the book is about. And here you show every spread one by one. You number them on the top corner there to help kind of guide you through. And then you show the whole book. This is your big finish. And you have your thank you page, and then you go back to your whole book when you get feedback from myself and from our guest judge. So that's what you'll do for next week. And in the meantime, we have a week to work on it. So make sure that you share with me as you need throughout the week. You contact me over the weekend if you want. I'm happy to give feedback. This is the time to really make your book great. And I can't be there to cheer you on physically, but hopefully my voice will show up in your head like, keep going, try harder, make it better. spend that extra time. It doesn't have to be a lot of extra time. Just make sure you're diligent, make sure you're disciplined, make sure you're really passionate, and you're like taking the chance now to really run through the finish line at the end of this race. Don't just kind of slow down because you're almost done. Like, go through and get the most you can out of this. Here are all the pages from the presentation that I just showed you in one spot to help you plan for this. I will be posting the assignment here shortly. Hopefully I won't forget like I did last week. Sorry about that. And we have a Google Drive folder for part 5. So make sure you have that ready to go before class next week. And I will see you guys then, or I'll see you when we have our reviews tonight. Thanks, everybody.